Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 40 Hadith of Purity course. This course is a course where you'll be studying fiqh through 40 Hadith. Now, question which many people ask is, what is fiqh all about? They really want to study fiqh, but how does it apply to Hadith? So, usually when you study fiqh, you study a beginner's book and then an intermediate, and then you move on to an advanced book of fiqh. But what we want to actually know is, we want to know evidences as well. So the Quran and Sunnah is what we really want to understand, how this applies to our lives. So we need to understand the life of the Sahaba, how they implemented it, the Tabi'een, how they studied it, how the Taba Tabi'een as well. So these generations were the generations who broke down fiqh, who made it easy for us to put it into chapters. So you have like chapter of purity, let's say, and you have wudu. What's the rulings of wudu? Then you have bathing. What are the rulings of bathing? You have the rulings of tayammum. What are the rulings of tayammum? So what the scholars have done, they've actually broken all these topics down and systematically made it very easy for people to understand. And then the advanced books, you study the evidences. You study evidences for wudu, bathing, and more details. The evidences is also something very interesting, because we have the Quran and we have the Sunnah. So the Quran is the Quran, the Sunnah was the practice of the Prophet ﷺ, how he implemented the verses of the Quran in his life. But we have to understand this through the Sahaba, because they were the ultimate narrators of the Quran and Sunnah. And so we need to study their practice, how they practiced, and also we need to study their statements. Now all of this, also there's analogy, there's qiyas. We look at how we apply this to other things as well, which are not mentioned. So basically, a person wants to study the Quran, they want to study the Sunnah, they want to study in the light of how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum transmitted it. They also want to study the other scholars' views as well on certain issues. So you want to study rules which are derived from the Quran, rules which are derived from the Sunnah in different chapters of fiqh. You want to study the rules that can be derived from the statements of the Sahaba, maxims. You want to understand Qawaid, Usool, principles from other scholars as well, their views. So these are things that you really want to study if you really want to master fiqh. So in this 40 Hadith course, the aim of it is basically that every lesson will be covering several Hadith, and each Hadith that we study, we're going to be studying what rules we can derive from the Hadith, or maybe the verse of the Quran, how we can understand it in the light of the Quran and Sunnah. And also, ultimately, what do we want? Fiqh through narrations of hadith. And this is ultimately what will give us a deeper understanding of how scholars came to their conclusions. So, what will we learn in this course? So, number one, we're going to be learning hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We're going to be learning fiqh from the hadith as well. Number three, there's going to be some Usool Fiqh that we're going to learn as well. And we're going to learn maxims also known as Qawaid, rules, principles. And 5, ultimately we want to get closer to Allah through this knowledge. So if you're interested, sign up, join. Inshallah, it's going to be very beneficial as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.